Hi, and good evening, and welcome to my first of hopefully many evenings that we can have once a week on looking at some footage from other people. And the recent video that I made, the documentary that I made, oops, one second, I've got to switch off my... Sorry, I seem to have a feedback here. My apologies. There we go. I thought I switched my sound off, but it's okay now. Small errors happen small errors happen. I'll quickly say hello to everyone. Hi RJ, good to see you. Hi Donna and hi Jackie, good to see all of you. So let's start again quickly. The aim is to have this once a week, and if the time is suitable and there's enough interest, I do get a lot of interesting footage from some viewers, and I do try and answer a lot of your emails. And I did get some very interesting footage from Comox, which is on Vancouver Island. And this actually has to do with a red-tailed hawk and an eagle fighting. So before we go into the footage, let me give you a little bit of backgrounds on red-tailed hawks and eagles in general. It is like that in North America, we have around 100,000 active eagle nests, which is very good. But it wasn't always like that. In 1950, they were nearly extinct. And why is that? They were nearly extinct because at that time, eagles, orcas, and many other raptors, predators were seen as a threat to human survival, which is strange because the perspective has changed completely. At that time, there was a bounty of $2 per eagle. Can one believe that now, especially in Alaska, for killing an eagle because they were seen as a threat competing for fish with man. So that nearly made the whole eagle population extinct, which would have been the biggest disaster. David Hancock, as you probably know, one of the most experienced eagle biologists, told me last night when I asked him a little bit more information on that. He said it was lucky that this was not in Canada, because if Canada had had the same type of bounty, we wouldn't have any more bald eagles. Hi from California. I'm just seeing some more tuning in. Very nice to see you all. Yes, Jackie, it is sad. However, now comes the good news. The good news is that in the States they changed the law, and they quickly understood that this was not the way to go, and that protection also of orcas, you don't hunt these. I mean, they are very precious to our survival and also appreciation of the planet. And then, of course, the next disaster came in around the 1970s when DDT was introduced, and DDT was detrimental to bald eagles and nearly wiped them out once again. And that was right across North America. I'm just looking quickly. There's some more. Beach Girl is there. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Christian. Can't wait for the document. You can't wait for it. It's out. I apologize. Just a quick jump, and then we'll jump right back to the footage. It is released, Barbara. It is released. Go to my footage. It's a 23-minute documentary. It has been released. I released it earlier due to the media interest. So I released it, and thank you very much. It has become a success, and a very good success. Mainly what I've featured there are your questions. I've responded to your questions, and that's really the reason. Yes, and the Kit Cat says, thanks, they're back. Love and peace from Miami, Florida. We'll talk about Miami, Florida. We'll talk about the Southwest Florida eagle nest in a while. So the story now continues. The bald eagle survived again. Fortunately, as soon as DDT was banned, and now there are about 100,000 nests across North America. But they are not the only ones competing for the territory that is not developed yet. As you know, development is happening, especially what I see here in Canada, at a rapid rate, even around Vancouver. I looked at the nest map yesterday that David Hancock has. He's done the most amazing job. I must tell you, it's phenomenal over decades. He has meticulously recorded every single nest and is watching the development, and is also watching very carefully if any eagle nests are stripped of some of their territory, to make sure that eagle nests are relocated, of course, in ever narrowing nature reserves that they have left. That's reality. On the other hand, eagles have adopted very well to urban civilization, and we see them very close up in urban territories, and they're doing very well along the beach. RJ says, we have many eagles on the Mississippi River. Yeah, that's where you are, just a few miles from here. Exactly. And remind me later, RJ, to just touch that subject on Mississippi River, because it, that's another interesting topic. There are so many interesting topics. So, let's get back to the Eagle Hawk story. So a few days ago, or just it was 2 days ago, a viewer called Malcolm writes to me and sends me some incredible footage. He lives in Comox on Vancouver Island. And because across North America we have around 2.1 million red-tailed hawks, and you may have known that, I think I mentioned it somewhere in the documentary, and about 100,000 eagle nests. There is tough competition between hawks, and be it the red-tailed hawk, the Cooper hawk, and even the osprey. There's a lot of competition for the same territory. They nest in similar trees. Sometimes they share similar hunting grounds like the osprey and the bald eagle does. Beach Girl says, the Center of Conservation Biology here in Virginia does a wonderful job. Yes, and they do. They do, absolutely. And thanks to all these conservation thanks to all these conservation organizations, that is important to increase the public awareness. You're absolutely right, and they're doing a great job. We have the same in Canada, and it's wonderful to see. So nice to see you, Julie. Nice to see you too. Very nice. And this is what I enjoy so much. I tell you, the documentary became a success because of all of you. The questions that you asked, I can say that time and again, the questions that you asked made the documentary the quality that it is. All I did is put the footage together, but it is really you who have made the documentary. So I would like to thank you for that. And I want to continue making documentaries that way, because it gives a unique new way of doing documentaries. It is your view. And I think it's going to be successful. I have more ideas, by the way, of making documentaries. Right. So Malcolm has some incredible material here. As I said, they hunt for the same grounds, and now it gets very interesting. I'm just looking at your comments there now and then. Yes, the nest is going to be interesting. I'll get back to the nest. I have to remember so many things, because here I see your comments coming in. And I don't want to, let me first deal with the footage, and then let's do a little bit more discussions about eagles in general. And then finally, what I would also like to know from you, is there enough interest for me to do this on a regular basis, to bring some interesting footage, not only live eagle nests. I'm talking about interesting footage, things that have happened, talk about nature, the conservation, the interaction with raptors and so on. If there's enough interest here, then I will continue this, because I certainly enjoy doing this, as you know by now. What is interesting is, you may have seen that very well in the documentary, is the eagle, of course, has a wingspan over 6 foot. And in comparison, the red-tailed hawk is a maximum of typically 2.5, sometimes 3 pounds. The females are bigger than the males. So what happens when they go for the same territory? Well, no surprise that the red-tailed hawk is a lot more maneuverable than the eagle. However, the eagle can, and again I get this information directly with conversation from David Hancock, because he's seen numerous of these fights, much more than I have. He's seen numerous of these fights, and he's told me he has never seen an eagle grounded by a red-tailed hawk, contrary, by the way, to the osprey. And we can get to the osprey later, or I can try and find some footage on osprey and eagle fights, which is rather interesting, because the osprey is much, much more aggressive. For example, I'll just jump in quickly on the osprey before I forget it. If you want to band an osprey, it is almost very uncommon that the person who bands an osprey does not get attacked by the osprey. That is how very aggressive ospreys are. Eagles, surprisingly enough, and thank goodness they are like that, they are much bigger in size, but they usually retreat, and they're much more skittish. Isn't that interesting? So yes, there is a lot of interest, and I will definitely do that. I also will try and get as much information as possible from David Hancock before I run these shows, because he just has such a wealth of decades of experience, and I have found absolutely no person like him who has this experience, and I'm mainly the listeners and passing this on to you together with some interesting footage. Chaplin, hi. I'm anything. Okay, anything you want to present? Well, don't say anything, because I don't want to present garbage to you. I want to present high quality. So let's get back to the fight. What I want you to pay attention to in this footage from Malcolm, he photographed this outside from his home in Comox. And he told me this is heavily cropped. Well, that's typically Malcolm. It's heavily cropped. However, it is surprisingly good and very, very revealing. So on the lower part, you'll recognize this is still a juvenile, possibly between 1 and 2 years old. And there's a it looks like an adult red-tailed hawk going for the juvenile. So what happens here? So let's go through the footage. Maybe even in real time, I can expand this. Oops, not me. I don't want to expand me. No, I don't. I definitely don't. I want you to watch the footage. So let me just get this a bit closer for you. Falcons are faster than osprey. Yes, they are. They are faster, but ospreys are tougher. And you're right, because falcons are smaller than ospreys, they are faster. Of course, then you have the absolute record speed from the peregrine falcon, which I'd love to talk to you one day too, because the peregrine falcon is so fascinating, so fascinating. Consider weekly chats. I will happily do that. If this is a suitable time, what I need to know, and I don't have time to run, to run a survey here. But if this time suits you, I can do this on a regular basis. And if for some reason I cannot do that, I will do it plus minus 1 day around this. So you can see what is very interesting. That is the red-tailed hawk going for the osprey. And what I'm going to go through all his images, and I'm going to put my face away so you can really enjoy this now, because it's quite remarkable. So what you see here is what I want you to look out for is the wing structure, the wing movement. We don't see the movement, but just look at the details on the upper right corner of the red-tailed hawk, and look at the eagle. Well, you can definitely see who's on the defense, on the attack here. The red-tailed hawk is definitely on the attack. Invasion of territory or something like that. You can clearly see. You can see the beautiful feather structure. I think they have 10 tail feathers beautifully coming out. And what is incredible, you will see the left wing stretched out and the right wing used for rolling maneuvers. Rolling is when they start turning. And so you can clearly see what's going on here. Usually, if a wing, let me just explain that to you. What is interesting from eagles, if you observe them from the wing structure, if one wing, if you see that in the air, goes down like this, you see that, I'm a bit in mirror, that's why I'm getting irritated with this, with myself, but if one wing goes down like that, it will roll this way. Okay, so they have incredible control by using their muscles in the wing on the primary feather to control the flight. It's minute details that an airplane can never do, and that's what I want you to look out for, because it's really interesting. So here are his beautiful images. So I'm just going to zoom in, and he's got lots of them, and you can see how complex you look first of all at the top right. You can see that the eagle has got its tail feathers completely in, but slightly bent inwards, right? So you can see how complex their movements are. You can see that the lower wing is completely different to the upper wing, which allows them very complex maneuvers in the air. They can roll, they can twist, they can turn, and do lots of things. And this is exactly what it goes on about. It's maybe not completely sharp, but I think Malcolm did a great job here, because these maneuvers happen so quickly, and you can see the objective, of course, is to keep your talons always in the direction of your opponent or enemy. That's exactly what they're doing, and even the red-tailed hawk has quite menacing raptor claws, and the eagle, of course, is turning towards it. Look again at the upper wing structure from the eagle. because you can really see the way it's turning here. It's if I interpret the turn correctly, he should be turning clockwise towards the towards the red tail in order to defend this. So really interesting. Yes, I'm just looking. You're talon to talon. Yes, the eagle is saying, "You want a piece of me, kid?" Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. And this is what happens. Look at this. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that an incredible image here? So you can see the red tail looks like he's trying to put his claws in the back of the eagle. That is the ultimate goal, because that's where the eagle is defenseless and it's much slower. And the eagle, of course, is trying to prevent that with all the feathers he's got. You can see that the upper wing is moving to push this away, and even the tail feathers are part of it. And you can see that the head of the eagle is completely turned for attention towards the red tail in order to see what type of maneuver is required to fend this off. Isn't this amazing? And yes, absolutely, Beach Girl, it shows the amazing size difference that they have. And it is amazing captures. I mean, Malcolm did some really beautiful images. I have got nothing like this. Some are a little bit unsharp, but don't be critical towards him, because it is so difficult to get this. Again, the raptor, the eagle is trying to push. Oh, and this is a really beautiful one. Push the claws towards it. Here you can see again, I'm just going to push this a little bit in the center. A little bit unsharp, but still you can clearly see what's going on. The aim for the eagle is to lock the raptor claws in, because it has a lot more muscle, of course, than the red tail. And the red tail hawk will try and avoid that maneuver, of course. Isn't that incredible? And we have more and more of his photographs. I'm not even halfway through this whole maneuver. So he's done an incredible job. And this is what I really love. Can you see the flexibility here of the eagle's wings? It is incredible. Look at the position of the claws. Look at the one wing and the other. You can hardly make out how such an asymmetric wing movement is even possible. so you can see the incredible design of nature that makes such maneuvers possible. One can only stay in awe. And here we have a beautiful sharp image. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more and center it. There we go. That's better centered. And again, you can see what's happening here. The eagle again is trying to get his claws into the raptor's talons. Isn't that an excellent job? Isn't that so, RJ? You're absolutely right. Almost locking talons. Exactly. That's the aim, that the eagle will always go for the locking of talons in order to fend this off. And let's go to the next image here. Let me zoom in a little bit in again. 1 second. And here we go. Now you should be able to see it too. Oh, you know what I love about this image? Look at the curvature. Look at the curvature of the wings here. This is full brakes on, really full brakes on in order to do this. It's absolutely incredible. And you can see the clear separation of the primary feathers. The primary feathers are the, as the word says, the big feathers that do most of the flying. You can see the primary feathers clearly separated from the secondary feathers. There are 10 primary feathers, and there are about 17 secondary feathers on the eagle. I've been told that they can vary a little bit, the number of secondary feathers. Okay, next picture. It just goes on and on. So again here, that's maybe a little bit too much scaled in. Let me just scale this out a little bit. There we go. That's better. That's better. Beautiful lock here of the talons, and impossible wing maneuvers. You know, I sound like a sport reporter, but that's exactly how I feel. And a snail sport reporter, because imagine in how few seconds all these maneuvers are happening, and these are individual pictures which are depicting all this in such beautiful detail. Okay, next picture, we get even more. I'm going to zoom in again, and let's see what's going on here. Now, this is even more absurd. Again, you can see the tail, the head of the eagle directed towards the red tail so it can see what's going on. The most important is vision. Have always sight of your enemy or so, see what they're doing, and be sure that they don't do something that you don't like. Incredibly complex wing maneuvers here and flight maneuvers. And what's amazing is the juvenile obviously is experienced enough to do these incredible aerial this incredible aerial showdown here. So let's zoom on the next one. And he's got more and more images. It's just wonderful that he sent me so many. Again, a similar picture, and you just wonder what's going on here. Deborah says, we have falcons that try to get my pups. Is that so? Oh my goodness, that's not nice. And their fast and furious battle to win incredible, amazing camera work, isn't it? Yes, amazing images. And that's why I want to continue this type of show and just give you once a week exciting footage, whatever I can find, and present it to you, and probably things that you usually do not see. Let me just center this a little bit. So again, we see the head there. Well, it doesn't know what's up and what's down here, but I presume that the eagle is completely upside down, and you can barely make out the wings of the red tail. And as someone said before, here you can really see the size difference. The weight difference between the eagle and the red tail is about a ratio of 6 to 1, and that becomes very apparent because an eagle typically would weigh around 12 pounds. Or sometimes more, even the female, and the typically male around 2 pounds, the female maybe up to 3 pounds of a red-tailed hawk. So it becomes really apparent here. So let's zoom in on the next pictures. It just goes on and on here. And this is curious. It looks to me like their talons are locked here. 1 second. Yes, it does. The talons are beautifully locked here. The red-tailed hawk, says Jackie, do the same maneuvers during mating season. Yes, they do, but it certainly wouldn't be this vicious, right? Red-tailed hawks, by the way, do fight each other too. Of course they do, just as much as eagles do. Yes, you love the colors of the red-tailed hawk. I completely agree. This tail that they have is so magnificent. And yet another picture here. Let's try and zoom in and see what's going on here. Oh, here the talons are locked, which is very interesting. So obviously that is a big advantage for the eagle because now he's got more control. And that's the locking would be a goal for the eagle because at least he knows where the red tail is. And he says, okay, now I'll show you what power I have. And the red tail would be trying to get out of that locked maneuver because he wouldn't be able to hold the strength of this. And you can see what's happening here is the red tail it looks to me like the red tail is trying to get out of this one. No surprise, right? And sometimes, by the way, adult eagles do catch red tails. They do exactly what I said before. They rotate around their axis, and sometimes by flying upside down, they quickly catch the red tail. It's very difficult, but occasionally they see it. And here the red tail has got loose again. Which of course is important for the red tail, and you can see that. And I think after that maneuver, so the eagle also, yes, completely outweighs. And I predict now that the next pictures are that the red tail will give up. It will not re-engage in this because it's simply too dangerous to do that. I think once it realizes how strong the eagle is, it will probably keep away. And this is exactly what happens because I'm actually getting towards the end of the images. Oh, I love this. Look, this is my favorite. Look at the wing positions here of the red tail. It's absolutely magnificent. Displaying all its wings. You can see the tail feathers beautifully, the primary, the secondary, beautifully spread out. It looks to me like this is a maneuver to get away from the eagle. Okay, to take on control and to get away. And so this must be the final departure between those two after they locked in. And you can see this is exactly what's happening here. They're going their own way. And Finally, there's a picture there of the red tail, which he's done really beautifully, really beautifully. So you can see there's our red tail, looks also in one piece, and then going his own way. And that's the total footage I have. So that's the total footage. So I hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. You could see that. So again, if this is something you would like, if Fridays is very suitable for you, I can do this on Fridays, Friday around this time. We can do it 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I can continue. And by the way, let's answer some of the questions that you had, or some remark. I have to go right back to the beginning, because I remember that RJ was saying something about Mississippi. And just on the word, yes, the good thing is I can scroll right to the beginning. And RJ, just to talk about Mississippi, that's the interesting thing. David Hancock at the moment is involved in a project. Finally, the costs of satellite transmitters have become a lot cheaper. They were horrendously expensive. I think a typical transmitter would cost $2,000, and on top of that, you would have a monthly fee of $1,000 in order to transmit signals, which becomes incredibly expensive for any not-for-profit organization. The prices have come down, and now with the event of the ubiquitous cell phone and the improvement of solar cells, a lot has gone better. So it's very likely now that we can track eagles and so much better. So what David Hancock is doing at the moment, he's concentrating on this project, and we do know that there are quite a few eagles that migrate from all over Canada down to Mississippi, and some go to Florida and so on. That's why Mississippi rang a bell, because if you see an eagle in Mississippi, it's not unlikely that it has migrated to Canada at some time. There are tracks, by the way. There's some tracking. I can talk about tracking of eagles. There are about 5 to 10 eagles that are regularly tracked, but of course it's much too little, much too few. It's too few to know and properly understand why in the next weeks. And I'll be going to Harrison Mills, by the way, tomorrow. Fortunately, the water level is very low. Why there is, and let me just jump back to make sure I see your comments. 1 second. Oops, I've scrolled the wrong, hang on, I've just scrolled the wrong, there we go. I'm supposed to scroll here so I can see your comments. 1 second. Just give me a second. I have to go to the other screen. Make sure I see everything. There we go, bald eagle, yes. What species of eagle, golden or juvenile? Okay, this here is a juvenile. I'll talk about the common mixed up between a golden eagle and juvenile. Many people mix them up, and it's no surprise. It's not a golden eagle, this is a juvenile. We do have golden eagles, but we don't have as many golden eagles as you have in places of the States, by the way. So golden eagles do appear here and also in our neighborhood. Coming back to Harrison Mills quickly. Harrison Mills is the big festival where we have around mid-November, where thousands of eagles come to a very specific area called the Chehalis. And that's because the chum salmon go up there, they spawn, and then they die. And from all the rotting fish, that's what the eagles like. It's been a very long symbiosis between nature, between the dying salmon, between the trees, between it used to be bears too, and so on, and eagles. A very good cycle that's given a lot of nutrition to the Chehalis area. And they love to come back there. And it looks like the temperatures at the moment are low enough. So David Hancock and I are hoping, fingers crossed, that the temperature is low enough so that there's not too much water, not too much flooding, that the eagles can go on the sandbanks, that the chum salmon can spawn properly, and so on, which we haven't had for several years, by the way, which has been quite disappointing for me. So maybe this time it'll be better. And if so, I'll get some footage, and if possible, I'll also live broadcast that. Okay. Less than 5 years old, absolutely. This is less than 5 years, because with 3 years you would see the yellow beak already, right? I think golden eagles have white feathers. Yes, I should get my footage. I don't have it here, but you know what? Let's tackle the difference between golden eagles and juveniles next time, because I have some beautiful shots of a golden eagle catching a duck. I know you won't like this, but I actually managed to get that footage. I'll show it next time, of other things that happen between eagles and, in this case, ducks. But it's quite incredible. The golden eagle is much more maneuverable than the bald eagle, because the golden eagle goes for ducks and so on, for lots of live livestock, as compared to the bald eagle, who is more a scavenger, right? Could you play that slideshow faster? Yes, I can. So let's go back. I will show it again. Of course I can. I will go through it now, and let me show you. I'll just go through them quickly, and there you go. I'll do it one at a time and scroll right through it so you can enjoy it again. It's quite incredible, actually. This footage here, Chaplin, was taken in Comox. That's on Vancouver Island. It's sort of halfway, no, it's a quarter way up Vancouver Island, going north from Victoria. Vancouver Island is quite a long island, goes fairly north-south. So Comox is about maybe a quarter to a third on the southern part of the island. So quite remarkable images taken. I think this was taken out of his backyard, even through the window. It's remarkable footage, remarkable. So isn't it wonderful if you live in nature and you can see such things? Right. Okay, Deborah, maybe your little hawk won't try this. Well, let's hope he doesn't. It's not my little hawk, it's our little hawk, okay? It's our, as you know, spunky Stephen Hawking, whatever you want to call him, the mighty hawk, the mighty Hulk. Let's hope he doesn't do such things. He's hopefully a little bit wiser, but he's very tough. He's very tough. Excellent documentary footage, thank you. Well, thank you. It's the documentary was a lot of fun. It was. Okay, what else did I want to say? I just wanted to quickly talk about ospreys. Yes, maybe I'll look for some footage on ospreys too. Ospreys are more dangerous for eagles because they're bigger. They're typically 5 pounds and they're very aggressive. They're incredibly maneuverable. They're very fast. You've probably seen an osprey dive and so on. So they can do serious damage to an eagle. Nevertheless, I have seen, and maybe I'll show you that next time, I have seen an eagle raid an osprey nest, which is quite surprising. Right, so it would be spellbinding to watch. Yes, it would. It would. I have not seen that, but that's probably because I wasn't looking properly. I was not looking for this, and I'm quite sure that within the next months I will see an eagle and a hawk fight. I've seen osprey and eagle combats, I have. And if I ever get the chance, I will certainly take pictures of that. You don't need a big lens for that because it's detrimental. You can't move that thing. You need a smaller lens. And just hope that the focus and everything works well. Good. Okay, let's see what the time is. Yeah, I've been talking for half an hour, which is about the time I want to take from you. I don't want to make it too long or too boring, but I will go on. I think it's very nice to see so many of you, so I'll continue doing this week by week. And wherever possible, I will either gather the footage in the next weeks on the Eagle Festival. I'll either broadcast live from there, or I'll get the footage anyway and I'll play it during our Friday broadcast. And I'm going to keep on doing documentaries and other things, so you'll probably see much more of me. Okay, so let's see. Are there any more questions? Thank you for that amazing comments. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you for your interest. And yeah, and please tell your friends if you have any footage. This is really important. Any footage, anything interesting, please send it to me so I can share this with the world. I'm your channel, your catalyst to all the wonderful raptors, especially the eagle world. Okay, so let's let me just see. Let's hope that we can get enough interest that way. Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining. I wish you a wonderful weekend. I know it's been Veterans Day in the United States. Well, we've got Monday off. So you've all got a very nice long weekend. I hope it's relaxing. Have a good time. And don't forget to peek out and admire the wonderful nature around us. Thank you very much.